Hey there guys, this is DMO73 bringing you guys some commentary for a future match this week between myself and Josh. Josh built a red, white, blue Lumia deck he called American Girl, and this deck I'm using is a 4-color Alice deck designed by a friend of mine, Harry Vaughan, with a couple of tweaks that I like to call Down the Rabbit Hole. So they're very definitely both control decks. But we thought it'd be fun to kind of show off some more lesser known or lesser used rulers, and I definitely wanted to give a shot at an Alice deck, and this deck from Harry was the way to go. So I'm going to be going second here, and I hit my Moonshade Stone. Sorry about the glare. That is a March Hare. We realized after we were recording that there was a significant amount of glare on my side, but I'll commentate for what those things are as we see them. So we see that Rapid Decay Quick from Josh, very powerful as always to deal with March Hares, and unfortunately I have to hit another Moonshade, so now I'm gonna have to start paying life in spades essentially. So I go ahead and grab a Cheshire Cat with that, try and draw into something maybe that I can use as a 1-drop, and then I have to pay another 200 to play my other March Hare. So I've kind of tried to re-establish a little bit of a board there. So Cheshire Cat from Josh. I see a White Spirit used to gain some life. Putting up to 45. So I do a Spiral of Despair to make him discard some stuff. He discards a Kai, the Frozen Heart. He was trying to use a Kai Gerda kind of stuff in the deck as well. I swing in with the March Hare, and then he decides to try and block with his White Spirit, but I respond by Thundering, because I want to be able to get him at least back down to 4,000. There's the heavy hitter of his deck, Alice, the Guardian of Dimensions. With Lumia, that card can just essentially be replayed as spot removal forever, and that was kind of what he was going for with the deck, to try to make use of Alice as much as possible. So I play another March Hare. And that's not a March Hare, that's a Cheshire Cat, sorry, another Cheshire Cat. Having to pay 2, and then I Flames of Outer World that Alice. Pretty much the only thing that I could do to potentially actually kill it, because I didn't want him to be able to reuse it over and over again, or give itself Shroud. So Flames of Outer World can't be chased, so it's a good thing to make use of. I don't really know why I didn't swing in with March Hare that turn. Honestly, I probably could have, at least to get that Cheshire Cat off the board, but it is what it is. So we see Joan of Arc, the Awakening Purity, on Josh's side. He used this a lot because Alice is a human as well as Lumia. Lumia herself is a human when she gets flipped. So he can prevent damage, the first damage, against a lot of his kind of important cards thanks to Alice. And then I hit a Spiral of Despair to try and attack with my March Hare because I didn't think to flip. And so I actually pay 200 to play a Dreams of Juliet and bounce my own March Hare in response to that failed hit, so that I could flash him and not have to take the damage. And then I play Laplacia, Demon of Fate, which lets me look at the top card of my deck at any time, which is pretty important for March Hare. Now I can guarantee myself easier hits with March Hare and Dreams of Wonderland, and I can see what the top card of his deck is at any point in time. So he goes ahead and uses that ability to J-activate for 1, thanks to having control of Almerius, and then plays his Alice. So now he's on point to be able to start his kind of loop. And so what he does is, during my draw step, he actually goes ahead and gets rid of my Laplacia because of his Alice's effect. So I don't want to mess up my March Hare again, so I go ahead and play a Cheshire Cat to guarantee myself an odd card back on top. You see that Mad Hatter come out on the top there. So here he responds to block with his Cheshire Cat, and I quick cast in response to that a 0, which will give all of his Resonators -200, -200, meaning that both of his Cheshire Cats will get destroyed, including the one that he was going to attack me with or block me with. That means that my March Hare's effect gets to go through and gets to do the damage. 0 is a really good card for that reason. Board wiping fields of Cheshire Cats is very, very handy, and the fact that she can quick cast and that she's only a 3-drop makes her very, very potent. So he casts Duel of Truth because he knows he's going to prevent the first amount of damage. And so I try and respond by forcing Joan to cancel some damage by playing Thunder. But then he responds by making Joan of Arc hexproof. So, because Alice only gives it hexproof and not Shroud, he can still target his own creature with Duel of Truth. And so my 0 gets destroyed. Very, very good play by Josh. So I'm over on the side there. I actually have an Alice because I didn't want to worry about re-sleeving or unsleeving right now. So I had a second Alice over there so I could reference what I needed to pay for. And what effects I would get from the J-activate. I believe I do Light, Water, Fire, Dark. So a ping 4 for Alice. The enter effect triggers, giving me 1,000 life, dealing 1,000 fire damage, 1,000 damage to something because of fire, forcing him to discard a card because of dark, and letting me draw a card because of water. And then I realized that Alice is a human, so I made my own mistake, and I didn't actually even get to kill anything with that 1,000 damage, because I'd already been burned, or no damage had been done that turn because of Alice. So that was my mistake. I misplayed that, but then I just, knowing that he's out of water mana, I just throw out a Stoning to Death and deal with that Joan of Arc. At the end of my turn, he uses his last light to get rid of my March Hare. So this is what I'm talking about. Because Lumia allows him to play cards from his Remove from Game Zone, and Alice can tap and pay a light to remove herself and one other creature from the game, he can kind of keep reusing Alice over and over and over again. Very, very interesting, very, very neat trick that causes a lot of problems. So I play a Mad Hatter with the Awakening to help me draw a card. So I pay 400 life to play another Mad Hatter and draw another card. And then I do a Spiral of Despair to force him to draw 2 cards, or discard 2 cards, because he only had 2 cards in his hand, and so he responds by doing spending the Dreams of Wonderland in his hand to return one of my March Hares back to my hand, and then discarding the other card. So while it wasn't the most ideal play for him, and having to use that Dreams of Wonderland on a simple Mad Hatter, it was better than him just having to straight discard it. So he was at least able to kind of set me back a little bit, in spite of the fact that he was about to be set back. So we see that Alice is still coming out, just back and forth and back and forth. The reason why he doesn't really like to swing in with his Lumia is because, 1, he hasn't reached max mana yet and he's a control deck, max will, and 2, he doesn't want that Lumia to die. So if he doesn't have to tap it, he doesn't want to, because if those Alices go away, or if he loses access to all that removed from game stuff, it puts him in a very bad spot. So we see that Mad Hatter come back out, letting me draw another card. Play a Cheshire Cat to draw myself some more cards. Oh, and I drew into my Alice Resonators, because no Wonderland deck would be complete without Alice, the Resonator. I keep getting little red yellow brick road with Alice with Wonderland mixed up. Curse you, Force of Will, for having so many good stories connected to you. So as we saw before, he just used Alice to get my card off the board, my Mad Hatter, and now we see Blazer come out. Blazer, the Eater of Dimensions. So he taps 3, decides to leave the red-white one up. In response to him trying to play the Alice, I play Dreams of Wonderland to put Blazer back in his hand, because now that he's tapped out, I don't have to worry about him replaying the Blazer. And then I do a Flames of Outer World on the Alice to get her out of the way as well. So I'm feeling like I'm starting to be able to reapply, like, make some headway against this kind of never-ending Alice cycle. One of the big things for me was just the fact that, like, at the end of my turn, if I wasn't careful, any of my heavy hitters would just get banished by his Alice. So I needed to find a way to get my Alice and my heavy hitter out on the board at the same turn. So, like, there's my Alice. And I spend 4 for Mephistopheles. So now I have the ability to protect that Mephistopheles with my Alice, so that it can answer whatever comes my way. So then Cheshire Cat gets shuffled back into the deck because I banish it at the end of the turn for Meph. So we see those Blazers come back out. It's going to be hard for Blazer to make some headway now that there's Mephistopheles on the field, because I'll just be able to just no fear block with Meph to kill Blazer. That raw solid 1500 is significantly stronger than 11. A Crime and Punishment to be played on my Mephistopheles. and I go ahead and make him hexproof in response to that with my Alice. So there, like I was saying, like being able to protect Mephistopheles is pretty important. And you saw Josh take 500 damage there. It's because he targeted my Mephistopheles with something, with an effect or a spell, meaning that he has to take 500 damage. It's one of the things that makes Mephistopheles just so good, is that even if your opponent has an answer to him while he's on the field, they're still going to take some damage. Kind of a screwed if you do, screwed if you don't kind of card, which I think is really, really powerful. So he's still thinking about what he wants to do to kind of wrap up the turn. And I actually attacked his Lumia. Sorry. So what happened there was I attacked his Lumia, and he used Breath of God quickly to just draw a card before Lumia was going to die. But now I have been able to stop that Lumia. Thanks to Mephistopheles. So I'm in a much better position now that I don't have to see the unlimited Alice loop. Dreams of Juliet played to draw a card. He's hoping to draw into something a little bit just better for his situation. And then he manages to get a Joan of Arc, the Awakening Purity. And then throws out a Blazer. And then swings at me for 11, but I have a Stony to Death in my hand to be able to stop that. So my opponent Josh is tapped out with 2300 life. I know I have enough damage on board to be lethal, but I have to play this pretty sneakily. So I use a Dreams of Juliet to draw a card during my draw phase before I untap. So I know I can win this, but I have to be really careful about exactly how I approach it in order to be able to do what I need to do and close the game out. So first I swing with the Flying Alice Resonator for 700, and then my Flying Mephistopheles for 15. Wishing I had Thunder at this point, because Thunder would just seal the game. But I decided to take a chance and see what happens. So I swing in with my ruler. And so I'm hoping that he does exactly what he just did. So he's going to block with Joan of Arc. And I'm going to spend a black and a red to play a Flames of Outerworld, which will resolve and get negated, have its damage negated, and then another Flames of Outerworld to kill the Joan of Arc. And then my Alice stack will go through and I'll win the game. So let's go to game 2. So obviously, Josh is going to be going first again. See a Rapid Decay, I see a Kai, a Gerda looks like maybe a double Kai. I think the whole reason that Kai and Gerda got inserted into the deck is again that more like girls just want to have fun kind of thought. So he wanted some more ladies to go into the deck that fit with the color scheme. So neither of us were able to get a turn 1 play. No turn 2 play for Josh either. So I'm sitting on a lot of water mana and a little bit of dark, and I as well have to hold off. So a very slow start for both of us. But he decides to, on turn 3, get his Alice out there and have it start doing work. So I hit my Moonshade Stone, so now I at least have 2 of every color, even though I have to spend some mana for it. So I do Flames of Outer World on the Alice to get rid of her, have it to pay 200 to make my Moonshade fire. Flames of Outer World is just a very, very powerful card right now. And there's another Alice coming out. It's almost just too much for some decks to deal with. So I do a Dreams of Juliet in response to him, you know, once the Alice is resolved. He decides to go ahead and make it hexproof. And then, so like he started to say no, but then he just changed his mind really quick and said, yeah, we're going to do it. So for the sake of just the fact that we're just kind of playing casually and trying to show these decks off, we were okay with that. So I start to try and reestablish a board here. I do a Spiral of Despair, getting him to discard the Rapid Decay, and it looks like a Kai got discarded. And then I play a Dreams of Wonderland to bounce his Juliet back. So like my whole goal here is to just make sure that he either loses all of his Alices very early to the graveyard where he can't recur them, or to keep them off board for as long as possible. Whereas his idea is just to get Alices on board as fast as possible and then abuse the crap out of them once he J activates. So now we have the Alice face-off. He attempts to use a light mana to banish my Alice, but I have a water mana up, so I'm able to protect my Alice from the effect. Blazer coming in swinging. Thinking about whether or not I want to block or just accept the damage for now. I go ahead and deem it okay. I don't really want to lose the Cheshire Cat right now because Cheshire Cat's just going to get removed from the game despite its effect because of Blazer. So during the draw step, I deal 500 damage to Josh himself with my Thunder. So I play 4 to put Mephistopheles on board. I know that Mephistopheles is a good answer to Blazer, and I start to go to try and shuffle in my Cheshire Cat from banishing it at the end of the turn, but I actually remember that you can't because of Blazer. Blazer is going to remove Cheshire Cat from the game rather than put her in the grave. So I caught myself, set the deck back down, and removed that Cheshire Cat. So we see another Alice hit the field. So now and a Joan of Arc. So pretty much the last thing that he needs, that Josh needs, is just to J-activate that Lumia. Because the cool thing is with Blazer Lumia, every card sent to the graveyard is going to get removed from play, meaning that every card gets the ability to be replayable by Lumia. Very, very powerful trick. So this is like the pinnacle of like the red, white, blue. Girls just want to have fun, like American Girl, like triple threat. Joan of Arc, Alice, and Blazer. And I know that, I'm staring down some pretty vicious stuff here. So I have to figure out how I'm gonna get out of it in the fastest way, most effective way possible. So I pay 3 to play a Laplacia, the Demon of Fate, so I can start peeking at my top deck, seeing what his top decks are. Swing in with a Mephistopheles. Can't tell if he's going into block or banish. I feel like block is what he's going to be doing. And so I'm deciding whether or not I want to respond to the block. So I have an idea of what I'm supposed to, how I'm gonna do this. Do a stoning to death on the Joan of Arc. Who then gets the hexproof. Then I'm gonna deal thunder to Alice. So what will essentially happen is now Alice is gonna not take 500 damage because Joan of Arc cancels it. The stoning to death gets negated by Alice, but then the block of Alice against Mephistopheles will go through, and she'll take the damage, thus killing Alice. Yeah. You saw me type down the life is because I was getting ahead of myself, and the fact that Alice still blocked my Mephistopheles. Mephistopheles doesn't have Pierce. So Josh is, I think, still really hoping to try and get that Lumia. He starts to try to play the Lumia, or the Alice, and then I remind him that he can't, because he hasn't J-activated yet. Like I said, he got a little ahead of himself there, and he's kind of trying to dig, but he just had another one in his hand, so it really didn't matter. Per se, he was still going to get the same amount of play, just from removed from game as opposed to, or from hand as opposed to removed from game. And I take the damage from Blazer, so I'm not terribly worried. Then I see an attack against my Joan of Arc, and then a trade for my Mephistopheles, but then I block that with my Alice, because I need to keep Mephistopheles on board. If I remember correctly, I'm thinking about trying to how to reestablish, and without putting a creature on board that's just gonna immediately get killed by Mephistopheles, and my thought is, why not play Alice? So I'm debating about what exactly color combination I need to utilize in playing Alice that's going to get me the most benefit, with still leaving me options for playing cards during Josh's turn. I believe I paid at least 2, if not 3. So I'm gonna at least make him discard a card and burn something for 1,000. So I'm going to play a 0 after I've burned one of his blazers for 1,000 damage to give it that minus 200, minus 200, even though that is just going to get destroyed. I think at this point is when I'm actually finally noticing the glare, so I try and move the cards over. So I'm in a pretty bad shape here. I think my hand was Laplacia and another Mephistopheles, and he J activates regardless of whether or not he has the stone, just so that he can start replaying all of those Lumias. And then he, in response to my block, he uses the Alice to banish one of my cards. And then I joke with him that if only he had that Thunder, but in all actuality, I think he did, but he just left the wrong color up. So, but I know at that point there's no way I'm going to reestablish, so I go ahead and just admit defeat, and we move on to Game 3. So we're 1-1. We are in Game 3 of American Girl Lumia, Red, White, Blue, versus a 4-color Down the Rabbit Hole Alice control. So let's see how this goes. So turn 1 plays are absent for both of us, as is been the case in this match a lot. But thankfully I'm able to put up something during turn 2. Get a Mad Hatter onto the field to be able to draw a card. So he plays a White Spirit to gain 500 life. We saw that come out in Game 1. Also just means that my Mad Hatter is unfortunately not able to swing in. I'm going to do a quick Spiral of Despair to force him to discard 2 cards. Looks like I saw a Gerda there and a second Gerda, so both Gerdas got discarded. I go ahead and consider trying to swing in. He blocks with his White Spirit, and then I Thunder the White Spirit to get that damage in, so 300 damage to Josh. So a Rapid Decay to remove my Mad Hatter from existence, and then a pass to me. It's been a very slow game for both of us, which has been kind of weird. I hit him with another Spiral of Despair. And then looks like a March Hare and then a Cheshire Cat to set up my March Hare play. for next turn. Dreams of Wonderland comes out. My Marcher gets bounced. Both of us, I think, are doing a very solid job of controlling each other's boards. There's Alice, everybody's favorite. We've hit that turn 3, so that's going to become a common occurrence now. And as you see, Josh is leaving up the Light Vapor Stone. Not this turn, but typically, so that he has access to the Banishing effect and the Hexproof effect of Alice. So I put out a Laplacia so that I can start looking at cards. And then a Marcher comes back out. So we see a Cheshire Cat from Josh. I'm thinking about, there's another Cheshire Cat on top, so I'm thinking about, in response to the Cheshire Cat's enter effect, milling with Laplacia, and I go ahead and say, yeah, I want to eliminate his options for Cheshire Cats as much as possible. So he does draw 2. But I get to see both the things he draws, and I also get to see what he puts back on top of his deck. And I get to see the card that's under it, because there is a moment where that card is up. So another White Spirit comes out, gaining more life. And then a Laplacia to banish, he's using Alice to banish my Laplacia. But then I decide to Dreams of Wonderland my own Laplacia to put it back in my hand. So only Alice will get removed from the game. So hitting a lot of Moonshades, so slowly burning myself by having to play so many colors. Laplacia is going to come back out. Start to see stuff again. Leaving me with 3 mana, 3 will. Again, this was another moment of, just because we're trying to show off the decks, we kind of took a little thing back. I changed exactly how I tapped to play Laplacia. Remember, in typical official play, like match play, once you've played the card, that's how you've played your mana, and you're just gonna have to deal with it. But we were trying to show things off, so. We didn't mind taking small steps back like that, because it's more important that we show you guys what the decks are capable of rather than have you experience our misplays. So I try and mill the south card of his deck, but he responds by Dreams of Juliet. I mainly was focused on trying to mull the top card of my deck because I really didn't want it. But I draw into a Dreams of Juliet during the draw phase, and then quickly spend to draw the next card because I was able to look at it with Laplacia's effect, and I wanted it in my hand. So that's the cool thing about Laplacia. You probably, you see me look at the top card of my deck all the time. That's because that's part of what Laplacia lets me do. At any point in time, I can just look at the top card of my deck, so that I always know what is going on. And just like that, you see I get to look at what the next card after my Cheshire Cat set is going to be, because I can just, at any point in time, I can look at the top card of my deck. Very cool effect. And then I do a Spiral of Despair to force Josh to discard 2 cards. I think leaving him without a hand, so now Josh has no cards in his hand, He hasn't J activated yet, and I have Laplacia. And the thing is, he also has a removed from game Alice, so he's going to have to try and get that Alice back on the field in order to be able to activate Lumia's ability. It is the one thing to note about the deck is that if Lumia is out, before Lumia is out, if you remove from game one of your Alice's, you won't be able to use that nice effect that Lumia has of being able to put the top 3 cards of your deck and then remove from game zone, because your remove from game zone has the Alice in it. So you got to be careful there. So White Spirit is going to attempt to swing in. I go ahead and just accept the damage. At this, I mean, 500 damage at this point is really not a big deal, because I can life gain with Alice if I need to, and I'm in a fairly good shape board state-wise, with being able to keep the game controlled in my favor. I decided to take one more turn to get some mana, to get some magic stones. Tapping 4 for Mephistopheles, I believe. Oh, for Alice. I want to be able to protect my Laplacia if need be. Swing in with my Marsh Hare, which gets blocked by Cheshire Cat. Again, I could swing in for damage with Laplacia, but I'm more concerned about making sure that Laplacia could be used to mill a card if he needs to be. There was a Blazer on top of his deck, so I decided I wanted to mill that because I didn't want him drawing into it. But then the next card on top of his deck was actually another Blazer, so that didn't help at all. So now I have to worry about the fact that there's going to be Blazers coming into play. So Josh is feeling kind of frustrated because he still hasn't seen that Almerius, so he has to pay a lot. He'd have to pay a lot of mana to get Lumia into play. But now we're gonna have to worry about trying to J-activate for Lumia without it. So he's going to try and pump up his White Spirit with his little Red of Pure Stone to take out my Laplacia, but I block with the Cheshire Cat because being able to just control what he's going to draw into, what Josh is going to draw into, is really what's locking in this game for me. And just puts me in a really, really good spot. Anyway, quick J activate for I believe 3. So black, red, white. So force him to discard a card. I'll gain 1,000 life, and I burn his White Spirit. So in that one fell swoop, I'm back to a position where Josh is just top decking, reestablished in terms of life, and I have given myself a lot of wiggle room in terms of my spells for next turn. So I'm feeling pretty confident at this point. So I go ahead and confirm that I'm going to hit an odd card with Laplacia, swing in to get that 500 damage, get another 700 from Alice, and then I pass. So the problem now is that Blazer is also now in the remove from game zone. So Lumia is not going to be able to get that quick access to 3 cards. Which at this point is really hard, because one of the things that makes Lumia so good is even if she doesn't have a hand, she has access to all that stuff in Grave. But as it stands right now, that's not possible. And with him already so low on cards, it puts him in a real tight bind. Go ahead and decide to block with Cheshire Cat, because I don't want to lose my Alice. And then he J activates. Because he wants to be able to start making use of that Alice. His own Alice that's been removed from game in repetition. So still during this end of the turn, I'm going to go ahead and Flames of Outer World his Lumia, and then Flames of Outer World his Lumia again. Remember, I have to let each one resolve first because it can't be chased. But now that he's pulled out the Lumia, I know now that like if I can turn that off, I can steal this game. So I go ahead and just spend everything I had there to get that Lumia off the board. Because now I've made it so that he's still in that top deck situation with no ruler and no way to get out of that top deck situation, provided I have those Laplacias out, or that Laplacia out. So I'm trying to figure out exactly how I need to tap here, but I believe it's for Mephistopheles. Yep. Trying to get Mephistopheles out there. Check to make sure that I'm not going to hit a bad March Hare hit. Cheshire Cat's been put on top. And I just go ahead and swing in with everything I got. And then at the end of the turn, I banish the March Hare for Mephistopheles. Double Blazer. Swings at me for 11. I decided to block that one, which will remove that Blazer from being something to deal with. And then he goes to swing in with his Blazer against my Mephistopheles. The big thing I have to think about here is whether or not it's worth it for me to try and stop it. I do decide to go ahead and deal with the Blazer with my Alice, and then at that point in time, I just know that I have enough damage on board to be able to kill, and so Josh just admits defeat. And another Spiral of Despair too, so I was going to get rid of both cards in his hand. So yeah, that's it guys. That's the matchup. Hope you guys liked it. Deck profiles will be up on Saturday. Go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe, and tell me what you thought about the decks. And until next time guys, this is going to be DMO73 signing off.